Today on TuffTrax, we crown the world champion of monster truck racing. Bigfoot enters this final day of competition with a 4-point lead over the Equalizer. Carolina Crusher, King Krunch, and King Kong try to remain in the top 5. USA 1, Gravedigger, Outlaw, Nightlight, and Buffalo Tremor want to retain their positions. We've waited all year for this. Bigfoot and Equalizer battle it out on the final day for the world title. Douglas, and the 1990 world champion on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge is about to be crowned right here on TuffTrax. Standing by is the man who hopes to put the big trophy on the mantelpiece after tonight's races. That's Bigfoot's Andy Brass. And Andy, coming in, you got the points lead. What's the strategy on this final night of the year?
Well, I think the strategy tonight we're going to do is just going to kind of run about as fast as we need to on qualifying, try to get first in qualifying so we can build up ourselves in some points, and then just kind of lay low a little bit until we got it up against the big gun like Equalizer and Carolina Crusher. If we can make it that far, then we're just going to just run her as hard as we can. It's going to be the last show for us and everything, and we kind of saved it last week in Louisville, trying to prepare the truck for this race, so now we're just going to let loose with it.
Andy, 2 years ago, Rich Hoosier, driving Bigfoot, came within a half point of the World Championship. Is there any extra pressure from you or Bob or the rest of the camp that you really want this one that much worse?
Yeah, we really want it pretty bad. You know, this is the first year we come out with the new truck, Bigfoot H, you know, and we kind of laid low a year. Took a lot of time to build the truck and everything. Now we come back out and we built a new truck, got a new driver and everything. We just wanted to take it, you know, like I say, this first year for this truck, first year for me, and we're wanting it pretty bad.
They tried to put things against you, but you sat out the band. Now you may win it. Trying to get the last laugh here tonight.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the band hurt us. You know, we was out on roughly 2.5, 3 months. You know, that really put us back a little bit with the truck. We had to sit back and do some other things, you know, and hope that working in the truck on some other shows, we could work some of the bugs out of it. And coming back right into TNT racing, it took us a little bit. We was having problems with the truck. We had to try to iron them out. And I think we did everything, got everything working pretty good, and the truck's been working well for us here lately, so I'm hoping we can take it tonight. Andy Brass and Bigfoot trying to win the World Championship here tonight. The only truck that can beat him for the world title is the Equalizer Chevrolet and Greg Holbrook. Now, according to the Equalizer camp, 1 week ago here on TuffTrax, they were robbed because of a killer radio box. With more on that story, here's Chris Chapman and team owner Gary Cook.
Thanks, Scott. The kill box may have been the culprit in last week's semifinal action. Gary, what do you think happened?
Well, when he came over the hill, the kill box killed the truck completely and, of course, put us out of competition. The truck would not restart. When he took the kill box out, the truck would start up and drive on off of the track. So I feel like, you know, we should have been allowed to rerun the run, because that's the second time the kill radio has put us out of competition. And needless to say, that causes some hard feelings.
What do you think that did to you in the points race?
Well, it pretty well put us in a bind points-wise. You know, in this race with Foot, it's very close, and we're going to have to come back tonight and go flat out.
Speaking of tonight, do you think it's going to get down to you and Bigfoot again in the semifinal finals?
Well, it probably will if we don't have any mechanical malfunctions.
What kind of approach are you going to have? Are you going to go all out?
Just go flat out, running. We got nothing to lose. The last race, we're just going to give it everything it's got. Win it or break it.
Well, you heard it. He's going to give it all they've got. They're going to win it or break it. Let's go back to you now, Scott and Army.
And right here is where it starts, qualification round, Army, and we'll see Bigfoot try to get the #1 spot right off the bat.
Well, you know, during the interview you had a moment ago with Andy Brass, he was talking about being out for about 2 months. They were not racing for 2 months. This truck was not sitting on a shelf. They were doing a lot of research and development with it. They can still go quick and go fast. This qualifying shot is very, very important to him. If it gives him quick time, it'll give him lane choice all night long. And Scott, as you've seen many times this year, lane choice can pay dividends at the end of the night.
It'll also give him more points toward what he hopes will be a world championship at the end of this program. Bennett Clark and Clydesdale qualifying at the same time, but not in Bigfoot's league, as Andy Brass lays down an outstanding shot at 4.33 seconds, and that certainly is one that's going to be tough to beat.
Now watch how smooth the truck is. He really comes over that first jump a little bit wild, gets it way up in the air, but like you said, last shot out of the box, this guy is pumped up tonight.
Andy Brass and Bigfoot, there you see it, 4.33. A pretty good time for Bennett Clark's Clydesdale Chevrolet at 5.09. Now coming out on the left of your screen, Jesse Birgy playing for keeps, the far truck away from you. And the guy who has really generated a lot of momentum the second half of the season, the Outlaw team, sponsored by Super Winch out of New Jersey, with Mike Wine behind the wheel.
Well, Mike Wine and Nick Kwasniewski, like you say, they teamed up with Super Winch, and boy, they were reborn when they did it. They started the attack driving and got the horsepower they've been looking for all year long. Right there is a perfect example. You know, the times that these guys are turning this evening are about a half-second quicker, Scott, than the last time we were in this building.
Absolutely. You can see Outlaw at 4.95. Jesse Birgy had a rough ride playing for Keeps at 5.85. Let's go isolated on the replay with the Outlaw, Army.
Well, like we said, all these guys have been looking for is horsepower. The name of the game in motorsports is how fast you want to go, how much money you want to spend. Well, Super Winch gives them the opportunity to spend the money and go fast. Speaking of go fast, who's coming out next, Scott?
Buffalo Tremor-John Kwasniewski out of Buffalo, New York to qualify against Marvin Smith's Wild Hair out of Missouri, Arnold, Missouri to be specific. That's the old stomper truck. Marvin Smith trying to lay down a good shot.
What you're looking at are two trucks with plenty of horsepower, but not the chassis development they're going to need to be competitive. Buku horsepower, but they can't get it to stick, and if it does stick, it's bouncing all over the place.
Wild Hair going to be about in the middle of the pack, while Buffalo Tremor has to be disappointed with his qualifying time. Tremor at 6 seconds flat. The Wild Hair coming in at 5.13. Still, Bigfoot's 4.33 shot is the time to beat. More qualifying is coming up. TuffTrax is brought to you this week by Nintendo. Now you're playing with power. For more qualifications on this, the final race of the 1990 season to determine the world champion. And this truck is not playing for the world championship, but is playing for respect and to kind of show everybody what to expect in 1991. It's the all-new Carolina Crusher, and Gary Porter, he'll try and lay down his shot at the same time as the Auto Value King Krunch and Scott Stevens from Woodlands, Texas.
Well, these guys have gone at each other so many times all year long. It's like two old boxers are just standing, just slugging at each other, but each one wants to get the last shot in. Who's it going to be? We're going to find out. Final show in Louisville. Nothing else. We're going to take bragging rights out of here. Boy, that new truck looks good, but Scott Stevens ran him tough.
Both trucks will qualify very well, and I would say very high up, although neither one of them able to knock Bigfoot from the #1 spot in time trials. Let's take a look again at the Auto Value King Krunch and the Carolina Crusher in their side-by-side. And, of course, you've got two different theories here. The brand-new suspension design of the Carolina Crusher, and, of course, the Auto Value King Krunch was really redesigned a year ago.
Yeah, but everybody's getting away from that leaf spring setup. Those are basically two new trucks. For what, 82 was quick time on that run?
85 for Krunch and 82 for Crusher. And right now, that's second fastest for Crusher and third fastest for Krunch, with Bigfoot a half second faster than both of them. That kind of tells the story. Well, you just saw Greg Holbrook in the Equalizer. Dave Weizorek's Nightlife will qualify against him. Holbrook really has nothing to lose. He comes into this competition, the final night of the season, behind in points, so he's just got to go all out all the time. If he wins it, great. If not, he gave it everything he had.
Well, one thing he cannot afford to do is shoot himself in the foot. He has to do his job perfect. If the truck breaks, that's another thing. But Holbrook, the kid, is under some pressure.
Excellent shot, but just to show you how things are going, he lays down a great shot and loses another point because he's going to be the second fastest qualifier behind only Bigfoot. Equalizer at 4.69, and of course the shot laid down by Nightlife is a good one, but it will not be enough to get him in the elite.
Scott, I was just checking some records. A moment ago, I made reference to the time they used to run. You know, in this building, when we first came here, a 6-second shot was quick. Now they're a second and a half quicker than that. Same course, just a second and a half quicker.
Equalizer's time, as I mentioned a moment ago, is good enough for second fastest, but look at this. They are towing Equalizer out, pulling him out with a loader. Problems for Greg Holbrook's truck on a night that he can ill afford them. Chris Chapman is in the pits to see if she can find out what's wrong with the truck. Could it be the kill radio box?
Gary, what appears to be the problem?
I don't know. It's not the radio.
That answers that question. It's not the kill radio box, but they don't know. They're going to get in there and look.
Well, like I said, this kid knows what he has to do. The problem might just come to the truck. Let's go back inside, but we'll keep an eye on the outside because that could be the big story of the year.
The qualifiers are no problem, and Thunder Chicken, John Moore, has been very good of late, and he lays down a good qualifying shot right there to outleg the Thunder Chicken on this course at Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky.
You know, John Moore is running exactly the same engine, everything he's run all year long. He's just driving it a whole lot harder. Look at here, a 5.16.
As you said, though, the story is outside. Let's go to Chris Chapman in the pits with Greg Holbrook.
Greg, what appears to be the problem?
I don't know. Just in the middle of the cars, Speller, he killed the motor for no reason. I wasn't out of control or nothing. I don't know what. He must have been ill about what happened the last race.
So you're telling me that kill box problems have killed you again?
Yeah, he killed it on purpose because the light was red this time. And I don't know why.
Did you pull that out, or did you leave it there and let him see that it was red?
When I pulled it out and handed it to him, it was red.
This was only qualifications. What happens is if this happens again later on tonight?
I don't know what the problem is. Something's going to have to give.
Well, Greg Holbrook is a very unhappy man. The bottom line, again, if you haven't really been keeping a close tab on what happened last week, Holbrook says the killer radio box was detonated by TNT official Mike Speller or malfunctioned, but that's what stopped him. Again, he is saying that Mike Speller shut him off, but Army, why would Mike shut him off? He was never in any trouble. Let's watch the run.
I don't believe Mike did shut him off. What's interesting to me is that we asked Gary, the owner of the truck, and he said nothing was malfunctioning on the radio. So you get two different, you get a black and a white version of the same problem here. Who's right? Let's stay tuned and find out, Scott.
But instead of devoting all its time to Bigfoot, Equalizer's wasting its time fighting TNT. Bigfoot will take on Wild Hair in the first round. Outlaw goes up against Playin for keeps. Then it's Carolina Crusher doing battle with the Nightlife. To continue the first round, the Auto Value King Crunch hooks up with Thunder Chicken, then we'll wind it down as the Clydesdale meets the Buffalo Tremor, and Equalizer takes on No Problem. We are ready for first round action on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge from Louisville's Freedom Hall. It'll be Bigfoot against Wild Hair. But in the pits, Chris has found out that Equalizer has more problem than just a kill box. Let's go to Chris, who is in a frantic Equalizer pit.
Greg, this appears to be a little bit more than a kill box problem.
Yeah, the fuel pump wasn't pumping any fuel, but the kill box, this is a new problem. The kill box still killed my truck in between the cars for no reason. I wasn't out of control and they killed my motor.
So getting the fuel pump back together, do you think it's going to help you?
Yeah, it's the only problem we have, we think. We're fixing to have it fixed in just a second.
How long should this take?
We'll be about in the next round. All we gotta do is put it back on.
All right, Chris Chapman right in the middle of everything going on in the Equalizer pit. And I'll tell you, Greg Holbrook is still continuing to complain about what he thinks was TNT killing his engine in that qualifying run.
Scott, I just thought of something. Last week in Connecticut, this week in Louisville, everybody, I say everybody, the two top trucks, who are they blaming? TNT. They're not taking any to blame themselves, but Bigfoot's got something to be proud of there. He goes to the next round. He's done what he has to do for the points. Now what can the Equalizer team do?
You know, when you're talking about the complaining about TNT, I think that's just an extension of, boy, huge pressure on these guys to win this title. And Bigfoot right now is able to react positively to that pressure. He can't afford a mistake, and he gets a crucial win right here against Wild Hair. Every win inches him closer to a world championship. Let's go to Mike Goss with Andy Brass.
Andy, every race you're closer to the world title.
That's right. You know, it seems like the Claim Ford's been running real good for us this evening. You know, the track was laying down pretty good. I think we picked the right gear, and, you know, if we can just stay with the combination we got right now, I think we'll have a good night.
Can you go faster?
I think we can. We're not really pushing that hard right yet. I'm trying to save the truck till we get down into the finals.
This is a big night for you. Any butterflies coming in?
Yeah, it is. You know, I'm getting a little nervous. We only, you know, if we can make it into the finals, it's only 3 more races, and each race just gets a little bit more and a little bit more.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Andy Brass with a big smile. He hopes it keeps getting bigger. Marvin Smith, by the way, is trying to get the Wild Hair into the top 10 in points. Let's go to Chris Chapman, who's standing by with Marvin.
Marvin, that looked like a pretty good run. Do you believe it's enough to bring you back as a fast loser?
I'm not real sure, Chris. I hope so. Do you know what time was it by any chance on that? Did you get the time on it? I hope it is. I gave her all she had. That's about all I can do.
How did you feel coming out first draw? You get foot.
Well, somebody's got to run him. It's too bad it was me. It's just the way it is. It's luck of the draw. You know, you take the good with the bad.
If you do get to come back, do you feel like you're running pretty smoothly?
Yeah, I think I'm running real well. Running very good. So we'll give it our best shot and see what happens.
Good luck to you, Marvin.
Thank you very much.
Again, something else we'll watch is Marvin Smith could come back as a fast loser while we focus on the Bigfoot equalizer battle. Other guys are trying to get in the top 10 or improve their spot in the top 10. That's where the big bucks will be paid at the TNT banquet at the end of the year.
You know, we keep talking about the battle. There's a lot of skirmishes going on back for the 10th place on up. Smith, boy, he's pumped. Wants to get in the top 10. That'll help you get a sponsor next year. That's why each one of these runs in Louisville, the final event, are so very important to these guys.
There's a guy with a sponsor who just wants to improve in the point standings, the Outlaw-Mike Wine. And he wins easily and impressively over Jesse Birgy's Playin for Keeps.
Remember, I told you earlier how fast you want to go. The question is how much money do you want to spend? They can spend it, and they're going rocket fast now in Louisville.
The big Ford from Pennsauken, New Jersey, Mike Wine, drives for the Nick Rossi race team and puts down a great shot right there to get a victory. Mike Goss is caught up with Mike Wine.
That's great. Mike, problems in qualifying.
This is wild. I was talking to you earlier. I was just expressing about 3 years in a row we've been here, 3 years we've blown head gaskets. Qualifying, I didn't blow it qualifying that time, I just blew it first round that time. But last year we took second with it that way. This year, let's see if we might as well go for number 1.
Bigfoot next round.
That's all right. We haven't run him yet. We might as well give it a try at the end of the year. I got a lot of heart. Truck's got a lot of stout. That's a hell of a combination. Thank you.
Boy, the head gasket problem, Army, that Mike Wine was referring to, he did blow a head gasket not only here a year ago at Louisville Motor Speedway earlier this year. Louisville and head gaskets don't add up for the Outlaw.
Well, what they're doing, they're trying to run a whole lot of compression in the engine, and it's just not holding it, Scott. These guys are really putting some horsepower out with these blowers sitting on top of the engine. Now we've heard the Ford side of it. Let's see which one of the Chevrolets is going to move into the next round.
Nightlife, Dave Weiczorek from Grand Island, Nebraska, Carolina Crusher, Gary Porter, 2 trucks that have just been unveiled on the circuit in the last little bit.
Boy, Porter making it look easy. Notice the new chassis, how soft they are. They're like a 747 landing. The tires actually suck up into the body. They land soft. That's why they can go so quick.
Army, let's watch the replay, and you know, you talk about that. Let's also talk about the fact that Crusher got behind in this race and had to come from behind to win it.
Well, he was behind going over the first jump, but when they can really leg the motor, when they can ramp the throttle, they just do nothing but fly.
Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher gets the victory. There he is. He's going to talk to Mike Goss.
Gary, you've got nothing to lose tonight.
That's right. You know, I'm just trying to hang on to 3rd place tonight, you know, trying to take the win tonight and do the best I can.
Last week, a close loss in the finals to Bigfoot. You were broken last week, right?
Right. I had, you know, the shocks are still weak on the truck, and it's bottoming the suspension out, and I broke a shock mount last week. You know, I have it repaired now, and hopefully I can make it through tonight.
Possibly Bigfoot for you in the semifinals.
I look forward. I hope I do get to the semifinals, and if I do, you better believe I'll give them a harder run than I did last week. Good luck. Thank you.
Could be the truck of 91.
Yeah, definitely could be. He keeps talking about the shocks. He's running a new Custer shocks on this vehicle, about $1,500 a pop, Scott.
Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher looking good now and may be the truck to watch next year. Well, it's time for this week's Power Drive, brought to you by Nintendo, bringing cheers from the crowd at every turn. Whenever you feel the need to show what you're made of, reach for Nintendo. Now you're playing with power. And speaking of power, Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher displayed plenty of it in this first-round triumph over the Nightlife. The Carolina Crusher is a force to be reckoned with in 1991. That's this week's Nintendo Power Drive. We'll be right back with more first-round action. First round action coming up. We actually move to the lower half of the bracket now, and Scott Stevens in the Auto Value King Crunch will meet up with the Thunder Chicken. And Stevens, obviously a fella who knows he's got himself a big paycheck at the end of the year. He'll finish in the top 5. He hopes to hold on to number 4 spot in points. But what Stevens obviously is also doing, like everybody else, is trying to get some momentum, finish up strong, and get ready for a run at the title in 1991.
Well, you know, he wants to take his sponsor, the Cobra Seed people, the racing radios, the Auto Value, auto parts stores all over the country. He wants to take them into 91 on a winning note. That's exactly what... Oh, he nosed over pretty good there, Scott.
Really dug in as those front wheels both dug into that last, I guess it was 2 cars from the end, but he finishes strong and ends up with the victory. Let's watch the replay, though.
Yeah, watch how the truck actually slows down when it lands. Kind of like a nosedive, right? There.
did not detract, however, from his winning performance, and Scott Stevens gets the victory in the Auto Value King Crunch. He takes the win over the Thunder Chicken and Kid Rarig out of Pennsylvania. There's Scott Stevens out of the truck. Let's get on to Mike Goss.
Scott, a real rough ride. What's going on?
You know, last week I was over-revving the motor really bad in the air, and, you know, we try to get some consistency and save some parts. So I let off the gas completely when I hit left the ramp. We pretty well expected it. We hurt the motor pretty bad last week. I don't want to hurt no more parts, but we got a little consistency, and that's what we got to get back to win any races.
Any problems coming outdoors to indoors?
Not really. You know, I guess the main problem is it just got slapped in the face. You know, I just realized that over the last few months, you know, there's about 10 trucks that can kick your tail right now. You know, 6 months ago, it was basically just, you know, King Crunch, Bigfoot, and Equalizer, and Carolina Crusher was real tough too. But right now, you know, this whole slew of guys can take your, you know, clean clock right now.
That certainly speaks well for 1991 and the competitiveness of monster truck racing as it stands today. We're going to continue first-round action with the Clydesdale out of Georgia. Bennett Clark, the good old boy from Powder Springs, and the Yankee coming down to take him on, the Buffalo Tremor-John Kwasniewski.
Well, Johnny K runs a big horsepower engine and a short wheelbase. The Clydesdale long wheelbase. Hey, the short wheelbase takes the win. New York goes to the next round.
The Buffalo Tremors, John Kwasniewski, in a mild surprise victory over Clydesdale, if for no other reason than Clydesdale had significantly out-qualified Tremor.
Yeah, but we can go back to the Scott Stevens interview just a moment ago with Mike Goss, where Stevens said any of these guys are capable of cleaning your clock. Kid out of New York State, the Buffalo area, proved that right there.
Another look now as we get the Buffalo Tremor pulling out a very narrow victory over the Clydesdale Chevrolet. Johnny Kwasniewski moves into the quarterfinal round in the Tremor. The Clydesdale has to hope to come back as one of the faster losers. Boy, there's the popular Gravedigger poster and a Gravedigger t-shirt. The Digger not here this week on TuffTrax again. In case you missed that story in recent weeks, the Digger truck was completely totaled out in a wreck at Canandaigua, New York. Dennis Anderson in the shop has already built a brand new Gravedigger, is currently undergoing testing to get it ready for 1991. No Problem will take on the Equalizer. Now, the Equalizer will be going up against No Problem in a situation where John Moore flat has nothing to lose, and he will try and nail the kid to the wall right here.
Well, the kid's got everything in the world to lose. The Equalizer is not a monster truck team right now. They are a hunter-killer team. They have got blood in their eyes. Let's see what the kid's going to do. Boy, close, Scott. I couldn't tell.
You know, John Moore is a Ford, and he may have put a big hammer, a big nail in the coffin of a Chevrolet for the World Championship right there. Right now, there has not been an official winner determined. Let's see if we can pick it out on the replay. Too close to call.
John Moore always runs well at Louisville. This is where they build the Ford trucks. He likes to show off for the people that manufacture them. But right now, Chevrolet. Okay.
There you see it. Equalizer by about a half a wheel length. Boy, Holbrook won that one, but by a narrow margin.
Greg, really the best thing that could have happened to you tonight is to be up in Bigfoot's bracket so you could knock him off early. Now you can just get him in the finals.
Yeah, I'd rather be in the finals with him. It just gives a little bit while before we got to face him. Let's just get more points.
What about next year? You feel pretty confident about being able to come back?
Yeah, we're going to make a few changes on the truck. It's going to be a lot faster next year than it will be this year.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, Mike, we're going to send it out now to Chris Chapman in the pits with John Moore of No Problem, who, like Wild Hair, is trying to crack the top 10.
John, good news from Wife Heidi. She says you're coming back as a fast loser.
Yeah, it is. We just heard earlier that we were up for a tie for second fastest loser, and I really didn't want to see that. I didn't know what we were going to do about that. But we're going to come back, give it another shot, and see if it works better.
Say you ran it a little too hard that time, maybe?
Yeah, I knew I was running a good truck there, so we went her up about 7,200. It's a little more than I usually do.
What are you going to do next run? These are valuable points.
I'm going to see if we can get 75 out of it.
John Moore will indeed go into the quarterfinals as the second fastest loser. Here's the way the quarterfinal round matchups will set up. Bigfoot takes on Outlaw in a Ford Camp battle. Then the Carolina Crusher, after dispatching the Nightlife, will meet the second fastest loser, who we just talked to, John Moore, and No Problem. The Auto Value King Crunch has to take on the fast loser. That's the Wild Hair, trying to crack the top 10 in points. And then the Buffalo Tremor comes out to take on the Equalizer. It's all coming up on TuffTrax. move into the quarterfinal round at Louisville's Freedom Hall, and there you see the work going on in the Equalizer camp. And Gary Cook, right in the center of your screen, the team owner, he's holding the light underneath the truck. Could have some big problems that may spell the final death knell for the Equalizer in the battle for the World Championship. Army, we're hearing he's dropped the valve.
Well, if he did, he's going on a trailer if that's the case. What's going on back inside, though, Scott? That's where the big story is now.
Indeed, and they're going to continue to work on that. We'll continue to find out if that's the case, or if Equalizer will be able to make it back out. Right now, though, Bigfoot needs a win over Outlaw. Critical race, and Andy Brass gets it done again. Boy, he knows he cannot afford a mistake. And, Army, that's a lot of pressure. You've got the best truck. You know you can't mess it up.
Yeah, but one thing I was looking at, the Outlaw was really trying to play the role of the spoiler there. He ran him awfully hard. Had he beaten him on that run, we could have had a different world champion. Look at the start. Andy Brass, I think, almost made a driver error. Came out too hard on the start, but legs it and flies it to the finish line.
It's a simple equation. If Brass wins every one of his races tonight, he's the world champion. Here's Mike Goss again with Andy.
Andy, what can I say? You had some handling problems outdoors this summer. Different story inside.
Yes, it is. Like I said, we did have a lot of problems with the truck as soon as we went outdoors with it. It was a handling problem. We finally got it figured out, at the last of the series. And now we're back indoors. The tracks are shorter. The trucks handle a little better. It's getting down to the points are real close. I think if the truck would have handled better earlier outdoors, our points would have been a lot better, and it wouldn't have had to come this close, but it has.
The word is Equalizer dropped a valve. He's running on 7 cylinders. Will that affect your driving style the rest of the night?
No, I don't. I'm not paying attention to how any of the trucks are running. I'm just kind of watching, trying to stay in my own rut, and just been driving like I have all night. Thank you.
We're going to go out now to Chris Chapman. She's in the pits with Mike Wine, who gave it a valiant effort despite losing in the Outlaw.
Mike, it appeared to me that he got you off the line.
Yeah, he come out of the hole as hard as I've ever seen Foot run in my life. We were both pumped. We both want each other so bad. But with him beating me, that didn't hurt me at all in the points. I'm still 7th in the nation. I'm tickled to death. I'm happy. The truck's not broke. To me, I'm going home a winner.
The word from Mike Wine, and that Outlaw Ford, certainly one that we know is going to contend for the world title in 1991, as they put together a solid sponsorship package with the Super Wench group out of Connecticut getting behind that New Jersey-based team. This ought to be an entertaining matchup. Army is no problem meets Carolina Crusher in the quarterfinals.
When we come into the events, the drivers are supposed to put down their name, information on the truck, and the crew chief. The crew chief on the Carolina Crusher tonight is listed as I Am Armageddon. He just could be for some of these guys.
Gary Porter, the man who's ready to try and take it out the door. But John Moore has not been an easy win for anybody as of late. They're even to the cars. And no problem has stunned the Carolina Crusher. Although, again, Army, with his share of upsets lately, I don't know if we can call it a stunning upset when John Moore beats somebody like this.
John Moore has had the capability all year long. He just all of a sudden developed a desire and realizes he can run with these guys. Look at this. He gets up in the air, bails off to the right, stays in the throttle, and goes to the next round.
No problem wins it. Let's go to Mike Goss.
John, last race of the year, but that's got to make your year.
Yeah, I'm real glad that my old dinosaur is able to keep up with these new high-tech trucks.
Speaking of high-tech, you got Bigfoot next.
We got him over there in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. Maybe we'll get him again.
John Moore is really cranking. Boy, is he the Cinderella story of late. Beating all the big dogs. Here it was in Stafford Springs, Connecticut earlier this year when he knocked off Bigfoot 8.
Yeah, when they went outside, John Moore, look at the attack. It's not the truck. It's between his ears is what's made that truck start to run a lot better. He's starting to believe in that truck, and it's showing.
John Morris, no problem. We'll get a shot at Bigfoot a little later. While the Equalizer's race to the starting line could be his last shot at defending the World Championship. It's next. The superstars of monster truck racing deciding the World Championship at Louisville's Freedom Hall. We're in the quarterfinal round of competition as the Auto Value King Krunch will take on Marvin Smith's Wild Hair. Marvin lost in the first round, but he had a good run against Bigfoot and comes back as the fast loser.
Scott, all these trucks have names, and everybody likes them by the names, but if there's one truck that has the right name, it's got to be Marvin Smith, the Wild Man in Wild Hair. And he's in trouble already.
Look out, Marvin Smith trying to get it shut down. He's into the wall. That is right in the area where reporter Mike Goss is standing down there with his microphone and camera.
Hey, Mike's coming out. He's okay.
Wow. He plows into the wall, and of course, All the fans over that area were scampering, although he never got anywhere close to them. They were sure moving back to see where the wild hair ended up. Wow-wee.
A couple of people have asked me why I'm working in the tower with you tonight instead of down on the track. That's why, right there.
There you go. Man, Mike got some combat duty pay. Watch Marvin Smith head right for him in the wild hair. Now, there is actually an opening in the wall, and that's where Smith ends up. Wow. That's incredible.
That's where Goss was before Smith went right up in there with him.
Marvin Smith's wild hair. There's the wall, and you can see where he smacked into it here at Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky, as the wild hair Chevrolet, and you can also see the damage done. Marvin Smith looking it over. Another wild run for the guy out of Arnold, Missouri. Mike Goss is going to try and get a word with him. Mike, what's Marvin got to say?
Well, I just pushed it a little bit too hard, I guess. I came over the bank and stood up, and when I got on the cars, I tried to back out. I was just going so fast that I couldn't get stopped till I got to the wall. The remote and everything came on. We just had too much speed going.
Now, you cracked this frame earlier in the year when you hit Clydesdale and Dallas, from what I remember. So it looked like you've got that kind of damage again.
This is an all-new frame. When I hit Clydesdale and Dallas, I tore it all to pieces. This is an all-new truck, actually. I don't think the frame is bent, as I can tell. I think it's just the springs and shackles.
Are you okay?
I'm fine, I think. Do I look all right?
Good.
Thank you very much.
Well, TuffTrax fans, when you see one like that, when Marvin Smith goes through the wall, you know there's someone lurking in the shadows. Yes, indeed. It's time for the Cruncher.
Cruncher here. This Crunch of the Week ain't a pretty sight. Brought to you by Galoob, makers of micro machines and TuffTrax vehicles. Are you tough enough for TuffTrax?
Since we get to Marvin Smith's wild hair, let's take the Crunch of the Week in 2 segments. Back to Dallas, 3-lane racing, and at the end of the run, the wild hair blasts into Clydesdale.
Hey, you're in. Then we go to Louisville, Kentucky for some more action by the wild man.
Here it was a few moments ago. Marvin Smith, starving Marvin in the wild hair wheel stand, takes out the finish pole, and then has Mike Goss and the gang scattering at the end of the track. The Crunch of the Week. Marvin Smith and the wild hair. An appropriate Crunch of the Week in Army Armstrong. It's very quiet in Freedom Hall right now.
Yeah, the wall won that one, Scott. But what kind of run was it? Well, in Louisville, you expect the wild runs. That's what you get to see. That's what we call a full boogaloo. Double throwdown when you put them in the wall.
Marvin Smith in the wild hair. You know, Scott Stevens had the other lane in that wild run. Mike Goss has caught up with Scott to see what his thoughts are.
Scott, all the excitement almost forgot about you. You won.
Yeah, you know, we got some consistency back, you know. Well, this next round is going to be really tough. It looks, you know, first, number 1 truck in the finals is going to be there in the championship, and number 2 and number 3 is not going to be there, and number 4 is going to be there, though, you know. No problem, really snuck in on that last round. He's really running good tonight. You know, we just want to thank Auto Value and all the Parts Master brand, all our sponsors for this year. And the Auto Value team, we just want to dedicate our whole season to the drag racer Daryl Gwynn that was injured in England.
You can't win the title here tonight, Scott, but it would sure make your year to come out, you know, the last race of the year to win the thing.
Oh, you know, it's kind of like, you know, get smart. You know, we were really dumb last week. You know, we knew that, I was just driving too hard, that our truck can't do what I was trying to make it do. I sat back, did with the driving that we knew the truck could handle, and hey, it's running really consistent tonight. And, you know, that's what we had all, you know, beginning of the winter was consistency, and that's when we were, you know, running right up there with the leaders, and I kind of lost the hold of that consistency. You know, it's coming back around, and hopefully we can carry that into the 91 season.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Scott Stevens has made it into the Final Four, but Army, the big story is the Equalizer. And at the starting line, Equalizer was getting ready to race the Buffalo Tremor, and something died. It can't get it fired back up.
Scott, the word we're getting, he did drop a valve. They're trying to just nurse it through. Points are so important, but he is on the proverbial clock all year long. We've heard about the clock. You've got so much time to get to the line, so much time to run. Well, every 60 seconds takes a minute away from his world championship hopes right now. You can cut the drama in this building. Look at this. Richie Schaefer, they're watching him. They're going to give him every opportunity. We're down to 2 minutes now. Scott, I don't believe he's going to make it. I believe that Bigfoot is going to win the world championship with the Equalizer setting dead in the water.
He's not getting anywhere. They don't seem to be making any progress at all. Gary Cook, there's the owner of the Equalizer. The crowd trying to pick him up, trying to cheer him on.
This has got to be disheartening. And some of the other guys around the truck are other monster truck drivers. Everybody's trying to help this kid. They're not against Bigfoot. They just want to see the World Championship won on the racetrack.
Boy, Gary Cook is just feverishly working, but he's down inside the final minute, and the clock is ticking away on any chance of defending the World Championship for the Equalizer. He had hoped to get it down to one race head-to-head with Bigfoot. It doesn't look like he's going to make it there.
Scott, in this sport, there's been 3 world champions after tonight. USA won it the first year. This truck won it the second year. He could have been the only truck to be 2 times a world champion. He's not going to do it. A blue truck will be the world champion, but what'll be the name of that blue truck?
And that's almost like a surrender. You see it there from Gary Cook. He throws his hands up in the air, stick a fork in the Equalizer. He is done for this night, and it's going to be Bigfoot winning the world championship. Kind of by default, although take nothing away from Andy Brass. He's going all out. But Andy knows he's got it wrapped up now because Equalizer is done for the night. Army, though, as he's towed off, what more can you say about the job this team has done this year? Going through all the disarray earlier in the year when David Morris quit the team in disgust. Gary Cook took a gamble. He went out, he plucked a kid out who had never driven a monster truck before, and they came within a hair of successfully defending the world title.
You know, this is almost like the day after Christmas. We've been chasing all over America all year long. Millions of people have watched these guys race. It just seems almost unfair that the World Championship should be decided by a truck that will not run.
Boy, you're so right, but in fairness to Bigfoot, he's won it on the track, and in fairness to the Equalizer, they gave it everything they had. And, you know, Gary Cook doesn't have the money of some of the operations out there, doesn't have some of the high-tech going for him, but he just knows how to get in there and build a truck that goes fast. And I'll tell you, I just got to salute him on another great year.
Yeah, well, let's go back to racing. That's what this sport's all about. Who's on the line right now?
Clydesdale will take the spot of Equalizer as the 3rd fastest qualifier, and he'll race Buffalo Tremor. And look at this. The winner of this race will now go into the semifinals.
All right, let's see how hard the Clydesdale run. He ran the Tremor earlier, a little bit asleep on the line, not asleep this time. He knocks the tree over on that New York boy and puts him on the trailer now.
And Bennett Clark is the winner in the Clydesdale Chevrolet. But the big story is the World Championship. Here's the situation. Due to the breakage of Equalizer, we knew Bigfoot had the points lead coming in, so Bigfoot is going to be the 1990 TNT World Champion. But Andy Brass, the Bigfoot stable, don't want to back in. They want to go out winners, and they're coming back to lead the semifinals. No problem. Clydesdale, King Krunch, they're there too. And we're coming right back with all the action here on TuffTrax. Third time, Louisville's Freedom Hall is the site for the crowning of the world champion in TNT monster truck racing, and that man does not get to wear the crown, but he's got no reason to be dejected. Greg Holbrook gave it everything he had. Let's go to Equalizer owner Gary Cook with Chris Chapman.
Gary, luck just wasn't on your side tonight.
No, we put a new motor in for this weekend, and we had a feeling that the motor was one that gave us trouble every step of the way, and it hadn't stopped yet. It was a mistake, I think, to put the new motor in. We wanted a truck as fast as Bigfoot, and we had it, but the motor just give out on us.
How does that make you feel as the owner of the defending world champion truck to know that it's just not going to be this year?
Rotten. Just plain rotten. You know, world champs, and we can't even finish the year running. You know, we final race and we wind up broke. You know, it's about as disheartening as can get.
One bright note, next year.
Oh, we'll be back. We'll be back. We don't quit.
Yeah, you know, that's the mark of a true champ right
there. You know, yeah, I agree with you 100%. They didn't win a championship, but they are winners.
Now, no problem's going to try and spoil Bigfoot's party, but he can't do it.
Oh, the Bigfoot Air Force is flying high in Louisville. Andy Brass is pumped and going to the final.
Andy Brass, knowing that he is the world champion, Army, that has to take a lot of pressure off of him, yet Andy also doesn't want it to end now. He wants to be the last truck running on this evening.
Yeah, he wants, when there's only one standing, he wants it to be the big, acclaimed Bigfoot truck.
He's into the Monster Smash final, and now he's out of the truck. Andy Brass acknowledges the cheers as the world champion. Let's go to Mike Goss with your new champ in monster truck racing.
Andy, congratulations. You just won the world title.
Thank you. Hey, it feels great. You know, I just like to say that the Acclaim 4 was running real good tonight. You know, a little bad luck there with grade, but thanks to guys like Ford, Acclaim, all of our other sponsors, BDS, KDC Highlights, you know, guys like that. all the guys back at the shop that worked so hard this last week to put the truck back together, because we just rolled it. And mainly to my crewman, Donnie, that he stood with me all year, because like I said, we was having troubles mid-year, and helping me put the truck back together. It's kind of tough, but we pulled through it, and it looks like we did it this year.
You feel vindicated at all? I mean, you know, the truck was banned by TNT to let other guys catch up. You didn't feel like that was fair? This has got to make you feel a little better about it.
Yeah, it does. You know, like I say, being kicked out for the 2.5, 3 months, you know, really made me feel bad. But it did push some of the other guys to build some other trucks, like Carolina Crusher built him a new truck. And all the guys that did build it have no regrets about building a new truck. But then again, you know, us being banned and being able to come back mid-year and catch up with all the guys at the points, even though we're behind 4 or 5 shows behind Greg and them, we still caught him in the points and passed him, and it just feels great.
Again, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
The world champ, boy, he's got a big smile, and he's really going to enjoy this night in Louisville, and I know the offseason getting ready to defend the title in 1991. Well, there's still business to be conducted here, and that is Bigfoot wants to win it all. Let's see who's going to meet him in the Monster Smash final. Either Krunch or Clydesdale. It's the auto value King Krunch.
Well, it's going to be a Texas and Missouri final. The world champions have been decided. The question is, who's going to take bragging rights out of Louisville? And I guarantee you one thing, Scott Stevens wants that truck to win here tonight.
How appropriate, the last race of the year for the points, Bigfoot and the auto value King Krunch. It is again time to settle matters at Louisville's Freedom Hall. We know who the world champion is. The only thing we don't know is who is the champion on this night in Louisville, Kentucky. It'll be either Bigfoot and Andy Brass, already crowned as the season champ, or the auto value King Krunch, his arch rival and main nemesis in 1990.
Well, we knew it was going to be a blue truck in a winner's circle. Brass is trying to make a 100% kill night. Whoa, he does.
Hold on, Scott Stevens. He almost got in big trouble on a wild finish, but Stevens shuts it down before smacking the wall, and Bigfoot goes out in style, winning on the final race of the year. And there you can see he really opened up the points on this final night, but that's a deceiving cushion. It was much closer than that all year long. Carolina Crusher a solid third. King Krunch and King Kong round out the top 5 in the season standings. 88 champion USA 1 finishes 6th. Outlaw, very impressive 7th place run. Then 8th, the Nightlife. Gravedigger holds on for the number 9 spot, and Buffalo Tremor, Johnny K, rounds out the top 10. Clydesdale will finish 11th. Marvin Smith's Wild Hair holds off no problem for 12th. Then Thunder Chicken and Mad Dog round out the top 15 for the 1990 season in TNT Monster Truck Racing.
Yeah, but Scott, right now it's official. Bigfoot is king of the monster truck.
So the world champion has been crowned, and he does it going out in style. Andy Brass and Bigfoot, the champion of the world in TNT Monster Truck Racing. Congratulations.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. I want to just thank everybody. Like I say, thank McLean, Ford, all the guys back there, all the guys back in the shop. We run the Speedway here a couple months ago. We took 1 out of the wins there, took a 2nd place, take 2 first here, just great, you know.
As King Krunch leaves the building right now, Andy, basically I got one more question for you. Was it any sweeter because the last one came against Scott Stevens and King Krunch, who you've had such a battle and a rivalry with all year?
Yeah, it was. You know, I kind of wanted to hurry up and get on the line. I figured I'm going to put some pressure on him, make him hurry up, and squeeze him on the time there, you know. And Scott and I have had a rivalry all year. You know, he's really against the truck and stuff, but we come back here to prove him. We was out for 3.5 months with the truck. We come back, took the point series with it, and it just goes to show that, you know, the truck was working good, did us a good job, and we was able to come back and do it even though we was out.
Celebration time.
That's right.
Andy Brass, the champion driver, and here's the man who started it all, Bob Chandler, the champion now with the Bigfoot truck of the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. And, you know, we do have to just say a big congratulations. And I guess this is really a test of perseverance. You got so close the first year, you went with a different attack. You went through some rules you didn't like. You sat out of band. Now you're the champion.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I don't think this truck would be here without Andy Brass. I mean, he's a heck of a driver, he's a heck of a racer. But I really want to thank everybody that supported us over the years. And I'm happy as hell.
They close it out as number 1. That sure doesn't close us out on TuffTrax. More great action coming up next week. For Army Armstrong and Chris Chapman, I'm Scott Douglas. Bigfoot's the champ here on TuffTrax.